Welcome to the most cinematic seat time intro I've ever put together. Not only do you get to watch me clean my motorcycle in slow motion, but you get to contemplate the intricacies of my tires, my driveway, and my awesome hat. I'd also like to introduce you to Nora, the smallest human that I helped create. For some reason that I still can't explain, she wanted to help me wash my bike in the freezing cold winter temperatures that Texas has to offer. She's cute, she's certainly a handful, and she's wearing blue gloves that are way too big for her little hands. As we dig into scrubbing on this 2018 Sherco 300, prepare for a lackluster video of me doing voiceover in one of my worst radio voices. I'll admit it, it's been too long since I've changed my oil. I'm also lazy and don't always take the bash guard off. I've mangled the pipe so many times, it's a huge pain in the ass to get off and on. That's why you're seeing my amazing use a tool to let the oil drain off of the bash guard technique. Yes, it's definitely patented. I want you to realize I'm shaking my head right now because I know how good looking this oil is compared to what we just saw coming out of the bike. But speaking of too much time since I've changed my oil, how many hours do you go before you change your oil? On to the first real part that we're gonna change, a new rear sprocket. I'm planning on going up to a 51 tooth rear sprocket to see if I can gain a bit more pull in the bottom. I like to stay a gear high, and this should help me do that without needing to shift around too much. You'll notice with that amazing product placement that I'm installing the DDC Steel Sprocket. DDC stands for Delaney Drive Components, and you can learn more about them at ddcracing.net. I'd love to get some feedback from you all. What tools do you use while installing a new sprocket? You can see here that I have a loose Allen wrench and a box wrench. Nothing too crazy, but maybe a socket with an Allen head and a socket wrench would be easier. Let me know in the comments what tools you like to look. I wish I could say that I remembered to film me putting on the front sprocket, but I forgot. Heck, I even got the new chain on before I realized I wasn't even recording. Bleeding your brakes. Another one of those tasks that truly only takes a few minutes, but seems to go forgotten when in maintenance mode. It's easy. You pump up the pedal, release the bleeder screw, add fluid, and repeat. I'm sure someone makes a special tool for this, but I'm just using an open box wrench here. Now let's install some new grips. I'm taking off the Rinthal Kevlar grips that I've run for a long time for my baby hands, and I'm finally getting a chance to try a new pair of the ODI lock-on grips. Love them on my mountain bike. I'm sure that I'm going to love them on my dirt bike. I was getting a bit of a squishy feeling in my front brake. After talking with Clay at Sherco and a few others, I decided to get a Brembo master cylinder rebuild kit. This kit includes a new push rod, cup seals, springs, and needed C-clips. Here's a look at the brain-busting mechanics it takes to replace the parts in your Brembo master cylinder. I don't know how many of you guys have gotten this C-clip in on the first try, but it was really hard to get in there to make sure that the push rod stayed in. I just had to stay with it, and luckily towards the end there, used another tool to make sure that I got it in there properly. Let's be honest, that was a bitch. If
If you're wondering what lever I'm installing here, it's the Midwest Mountain Engineering front brake lever. I put these on right before I went to King of the Moto last year, and I've really enjoyed using them. They've really helped me be able to have a much better feel for the brakes. It hasn't helped my butterfingers while tightening bolts, but the front brake levers and the clutch levers work great. I knew that I was going to bleed the system once I had fluid back in the master cylinder, but what I should have done is I should have just pushed fluid from the bottom up to the top to make sure that I got all the air bubbles out. Trying to get the bubbles from the master cylinder down into the system and then bleeding the whole system was kind of backwards compatible. It worked, but it just took me a lot longer than I thought it should have. If you've got any comments or ideas on how to do this better in the future, please leave them in the comments so that others will have them as they try to do the same. Now that I know I've got fluid throughout the system, it's time to get rid of the air bubbles. Using just a traditional fashion of pumping up the front brake a couple times, releasing the bleed screw at the bottom and letting the pressure go out, trying to bleed out any of the bubbles that could potentially be in there. Once I have them all out, start putting the system back together. After I got the system bled, all the air bubbles out, start taking the tools out and giving everything a good cleaning, using some rubbing alcohol to give it a good wipe down. Make sure you start at the caliper and work your way up to the master cylinder. And then, of course, as you can see, I wipe down the bike just in case I dribbled a little bit. We all know that sometimes you get it in places you don't think you want it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching me install some new parts on the 2018 Sherco 300 SE-R. Of course, if you follow on Instagram or watch any of the other videos that I've put up recently, I have also wrecked it many a times, and we've got even more new parts coming on the way, including a new pipe, finally. So thanks again. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing y'all at the races. Remember, always enjoy a pint full of awesome.